going on? We out here in the woods in the middle of my hike. You know, sometimes I like to just sit down and bring the camera out, start talking about some things that was on my mind. And you know, today I was thinking about how we don't appreciate the moments that we prayed for. And when we find ourselves in it, we often think to ourselves like, man, this is so much work, or, oh, I can't wait to get to the next part of the journey, or I can't wait to obtain X, Y, and Z. But honestly, the only way we can enjoy becoming the best version of ourselves, regardless of what that looks like for you, is if we appreciate each step of the way. And the reason why this was playing on my mind today was because, you know, I was walking on my hike. Usually I do about like 4 miles, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, damn, I can't wait to get this over with so I could just be back at the house, maybe doing some like editing for another video, or just chilling if I have nothing to do for the day. And I was thinking about it, I was like, you know, there was a point in time where I was working like a 9 to 5, like when I was working at Kohl's, literally some of the worst years of my life. I spent like 2 years almost working at Kohl's. And I remember when I was working there, I couldn't have felt more of like a loser than when I was working at Kohl's, which is not a knock on anyone who actually does work there or does any sort of retail, but just for me and where I wanted to be, I just felt like I was completely off track to that. So finally being in a position where I'm in control of my own schedule, I work and I do things that I enjoy doing and I get paid for it, that part of my life I had to work for, you know, and I had to fight for every step of the way. And it's funny because now that I'm in this position where I'm in control of my schedule, I make my own money, things of that nature, I find myself thinking to myself like, man, I can't wait till I'm at this point in my life, or this point in my life, or this point in my life. Meanwhile, when I was working at Kohl's or every other job that felt like a dead end for me, I was wishing I was in the very moment that we're in right now, that I'm in right now, excuse me. So I think it's super important as men that we take moments to identify and also celebrate. A lot of the times we don't celebrate our accomplishments because we feel like they're too small, or we haven't accomplished the major goal that we have set out to accomplish, so therefore we can't celebrate. There's always, if you really think about it, and I'm not saying this is an excuse to go ahead and go out party and do X, Y, and Z, but if you think about it in some way or another, so long as you're trying to complete objectives that lead to a bigger task, there's always means for celebration. Like at some point you're gonna hit a milestone, whether that be a really small goal, like let's say you're a YouTuber and you wanna hit 1,000 subscribers, or you wanna get monetized. Whatever the goal may be, celebrate those small wins along the way, simply because as you go along that journey, those victories now turn into just memories, you know. And obviously you could always revisit some goals again, you could amplify them, you can extend them, whatever the case may be, but in that moment you are becoming the person you needed to become in order to get to where you want it to be. And there's power in that, you know. There's more power in the becoming of who you're supposed to be in order to have the goal than being the person and having the goal, because it's within that transformation you obtain all those lessons. You learn those valuable insights, not only about yourself, but how the world works around you. That way, as you progress through your goals, you now know how to manipulate time and manipulate anything else you need in order to obtain that goal. And when I say manipulate, I mean just use or, you know, apply whatever knowledge you have to a certain situation. I don't mean necessarily manipulating people. Although, I mean, hey, the power to convince people is definitely the ability to manipulate too. It's just used in a positive light as opposed to something negative. But yeah, those were my thoughts. You know, I think at the end of the day, as men, the more we take time to analyze and think about where we are, the better we can plan our trajectory for where we want to be. And again, it's very important that we do so, simply because if we don't and we become complacent, then we start to stagnate and we start to fall off, and now we're looking at square one all over again. I can't tell you how many times as a personal trainer I've seen clients that have worked with me to get to a certain goal stop working with me because they've gotten to that goal only to forget everything that I've taught them, and then they end up putting the weight back on. Now that's just a small example, but that also applies to many other things in our life. You know, that could apply with your finances, your relationships, your job, whatever the case may be. You don't want to then fall off the bandwagon and have to start all over again. Once you progress, reassess, figure out where you are, celebrate the accomplishment, and then figure out where you want to go next. Because if you don't have those steps in line, like I said before, you end up becoming stagnant. So those were just some of my thoughts for today. It's Monday. You know, every Monday is going to be something motivational. The rest of the week we got our dating and relationship debauchery. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? What are some things that you're trying to obtain, or what are some phases of your journey that you're in right now that you're taking for granted, but at some point you were praying for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to check out one of these other videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're on the road to 10K. Let's go ahead and get to 10K together. We got a self-development course coming out during the summer and a whole host of other things as well. This has been your boy Serge, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.